So our last film this week is the big hitter this week. So this is The Running Man. This is both a remake and adaptation of a book. So this is the remake of the 1987 dystopian action thriller that starred Arnold Schwarzenegger in the original. And that was based off the 1982 novel by Stephen King. So Glenn Powell stars as Ben Richards, which is also the name of Arnie's character from the first one. He is, at the beginning of work of the film, he's let go from his construction job at the beginning, and he has a very fiery temper, and he desperately needs and wants work to pay medicine for his sick child. He's running out of options until he enters a competition known as the Running Man, which is a very dangerous competition in which you have to evade capture for 30 days while the whole country hunts you down. And we also had A Long Walk a while ago, which I also reviewed, in which that's also a dystopian Stephen King film. So basically what we have here is a checklist of the rich and poor societal divide. We have the lack of medicine and a broadcast network and powers controlling everything and not always telling the truth, and the humiliation of reality TV. So it seems relevant in terms of what's going on today, but we do have a clip for you now. Take a listen.
Welcome to The Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive.
I hadn't seen the original Arnie version, so I did do my homework and watch that before this, because I thought, yeah, you might as well watch the original just for a comparison piece, really. And aside from the fact that it's aged really poorly, I mean, it was 1987 to be fair, I thought it was really boring, and Arnie, who's not going to pick up any Oscars for any acting anytime soon, really, was genuinely poor in it. And he's not the best actor in the world, but even from his perspective, even from his, standards, he really was not good. But this didn't worry me at all, to be honest, because I'd really liked the trailers to this remake, and it was Edgar Wright, so I love Edgar Wright, and so there's no need to panic with this one. But even though this is on his weaker side, it crucially remembers the source material's dystopian satire well enough, and has plenty of sort of set pieces to sort of sink your teeth into, which is what you want, and it's what you need to kind of remember from the film. I thought Glenn Powell in this was really good, and the best he's ever been, to be honest. And I like him anyway. I'm a big fan of his. But this is the best performance I've seen him give so far. And he can do unhinged fury really well and anger really well. And if you've sort of seen the trailer, there were moments in this which he's shouting at the camera, he's kind of hitting people, running people, like punching people and running away from people. And, he managed to do that really, really well. But since we had Arnie in the original, we also need someone who can also bring a decent level of physicality to the role, but obviously not Arnie level, but still somewhere impressive. And there's a set piece in the film and in the trailer, if you've seen that, of Glenn Powell sort of scaling down the side of a building in just a towel. And it's like the film sort of saying, we've not got Arnie this time round, but we still need someone who's able to look good in just a towel and who's able to look good without a shirt on. And it's a completely self-aware and ridiculous moment as he's kind of walking around, like running around a hotel in like a towel just around his waist. And this towel could fall off at any moment, but he's insanely buff and kind of ripped, right? And it's just a film going, look at how shredded this guy is and how in shape he is. But it's a ridiculous self-aware moment of him. It's kind of one of those action moments in which it's so stupid and ridiculous because he's got the tiniest towel on and he's like climbing up a building and stuff, and it's completely self-aware and ridiculous. But it's one of those moments in which we go, we've not got Arnie, but we need someone who can look like Arnie in the time being. But there's also a brilliant gag when he's sort of scaling down the hotel, which he says out loud, which was really funny. I don't want to give away what it is, but that's kind of what it is. But much like the title suggests, and which the film needs, this is kind of it is one energetic piece of cinema, and probably the cinematic equivalent of drinking or shotting 50 Jaeger bombs at the same time. You know, this is kind of like taking shots of Red Bull and all the rest of it. So the title is The Running Man, and the film is The Running Man. We need to get that energy. We need that kind of exhilaration, really. But it's off to the races almost as soon, sort of from the beginning, really, and from the get-go. And I initially didn't know how to feel about this, and I wasn't too sure. But I realised more and more that this is what you need from something called The Running Man. This is what you want from Edgar Wright. And it's kind of what you want from a film like this. There are a lot of camera swoops and a lot of camera swishes in this film. And yes, Edgar Wright's stuff in the past has done that. But here, there's not a whole lot of his more recognisable traits of films like Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz. And, in the past, it's kind of, I was watching the action thinking, if you'd asked me who I thought directed this, I'm not 100% convinced he'd be the first name that came to mind. I would maybe sort of say someone like Louis Leterrier, who did the Now You See Me films and did the Transporter films. So in terms of if I hadn't known who directed this, I maybe wouldn't have said Edgar Wright. And that's kind of, it's not an issue really, but it's more of his kind of straight-faced action films. That's kind of not exactly kind of his style. But I'm not 100% sure if I would have said Edgar Wright in terms of the first name that comes up to mind when watching this. But it still delivers on the energy and the camera swoops and swishes and that kind of thing. And it's still got the gags of his kind of more, his work. But despite being more green screen and special effects heavy than what he'd usually do, Edgar Wright, I would maybe say, yes, someone like Louis Leterrier who made the Transporter films. But the film does repeat the same ideas of the first one, of fake news and of TV and deep fake. And of course, now in today's society and world, that's particularly relevant and particularly concerning with what's going on. But doing it now, of course, has far more relevancy. But towards the end, as is the case with Keeper, this does start to lose its grip and concentration slightly, as there's a plot hole to do with the idea of fake news and deep fake. And you think to yourself, hang on a minute, if you knew, if there's something that Glenn Powell's character finds out about deep faking videos and news, and there's something that he finds out, but I'm like, hang on, if you knew about that thing, surely you knew that this other thing wasn't true, because they try and trick him with some kind of video, right? They try and kind of trick him with something, and he knows that they're faking these videos, and part of me wondered, hang on, you've been shown this video to kind of blackmail you, but if you knew that they were faking these videos, surely you wouldn't have believed that. I'm trying not to give too much away, I'm kind of being a bit blunt about it. But the idea of fake videos and kind of faking videos does slowly kind of lose its concentration towards the end. And you go, hang on a minute, it's a bit of a plot hole there, because you would have known that and that kind of thing. So in the end, I wish it was more Edgar Wright heavy in terms of what he usually does. But this is kind of more straight-faced and kind of more plain than what he did. But it has enough energy and enough to say politically, which is what you want from a dystopian science fiction action film. But it's not his usual work, but it still delivers on the carnage and on the energy, which is still what Edgar Wright can do, and it's still what you want from him. But for me, Running Man's a 3-star film, and it's in cinemas everywhere for you now.